Do you practice with a metronome? Mwah. Welcome to the Saxophone Oracle. Today we are talking about practicing with a metronome. So I think we all know what a metronome is. We've seen them before, and nowadays they're available on our smartphones, so everyone has one at their disposal. Well, the metronome is a tool, okay? A metronome basically sets a steady beat that we can work with as musicians to become better players. If we practice regularly with a metronome, we're going to develop a better sense of time. We're going to develop more confidence in our playing. We're going to improve our sight reading. We're going to improve our technique. We're going to have something to help us work out tricky rhythms. A metronome helps expose our weaknesses when we thought we had everything perfect to begin with. It helps us learn to subdivide. It helps us to develop our own personal time feel. So it is a super, super helpful tool that we all have access to, so we should all be using it. All right, metronome is a tool. So there's some things metronome won't do. It won't make you a better musician. It won't make you play in time better. It won't make your technique better. It won't make you swing harder or swing less. It won't turn you into a robot. And it certainly won't turn you into a soulless, lifeless musician incapable of playing emotionally or with other musicians. Okay? I've heard this before. I don't know if you have, but if you ever do, run away. That is wrong information. The person doesn't know what they're talking about. If it's your teacher, get a new teacher immediately. That's bad information. Metronome is simply a tool, and if we use the tool consistently and correctly, it's going to help us in so many ways with our musicianship and our development. Just like any other tool, a hammer. The wheel, we invented the wheel. It didn't turn us into lazy beings or incapable of building beautiful cities like Paris or Rome, right? It's a tool. Metronome is a tool. If you choose to use it and use it properly, it's going to help you. When do we use a metronome? How do we use a metronome? Okay, let's start with when. I think that it should be an integral part of our practice. We should use the metronome anytime we have the saxophone in our hands, from the minute we pull it out of the case till the minute we put it away. Okay? It provides a steady pulse, and look, music is sound, but it's also rhythm, right? And how we play with that rhythm, how we interact with that rhythm, how we internalize that rhythm. So there's always a practical use for the metronome when we're practicing. If we're doing long tones, it's helping us. We put it at 60 beats per minute. We count how many seconds we can hold it. Are we improving? Are we able to hold notes for longer periods of time? It can help you gauge how you're using your air, crescendo, decrescendo, okay? If you're playing sound exercises, you can do it rhythmically, right? There's no reason we're doing one exercise at a time. We can also do it with the metronome to improve our rhythm, our accuracy, all kinds of things. If we're doing technical exercises, put the metronome on slowly. Focus on the precise movements. Get that all really clean. The more we practice slowly, the easier it'll be to practice or to play quickly. It's really that simple, and people don't spend enough time practicing slowly, really working out the technique. If you have problems with rhythm, look at them slowly with the metronome. Break them down. It's a tool that's going to help you figure out those rhythms or your subdivisions. So technique, when we're playing tunes or if we're doing exercises or etudes, the metronome is always there. For sight reading, it's going to help you, right? The music doesn't stop, the band doesn't stop if you make a mistake. So use it to work on your sight reading, to keep that pulse going, keep your eyes moving forward. There are so many ways we can use it. The only time I probably wouldn't use a metronome in my practice is if I'm playing a transcription along with a recording or doing something else along with a recording. Otherwise, it's there to help you, it's there for you to use, to play with or against, right? We can play right down the middle, we can play ahead of the beat, we can play behind the beat. It is a tool that we can use to make us better. Please use it. Okay, so now I want to demonstrate some ways we can use the metronome. So if we're beginner players, I mean, there's the obvious one that we can all think of. We're playing it on the beat, every beat, with the beat, trying to match up with the metronome. So if you're starting out, this is super important. You're going to learn your rhythms this way. You're going to do it slowly to hopefully make sure you're not taking your fingers too far off the horn. You're using good technique, you're breathing, so that your tongue matches up with the metronome. Okay? Very straightforward, but you know, this is what we do when we're starting out, okay? 60 beats per minute. Right, so there's a lot of benefit. That's very basic, but there's a lot of benefit to doing that, especially if you're just starting out. Okay, something else to think about. If you're getting more comfortable with your scales, you're more used to playing the saxophone, one thing that you should think about doing is start trying to feel the pulse on 2 and 4. At first it's a little bit tricky, but I mean, jazz music, rock and roll music, R&B, any of the more contemporary music, it's based on a backbeat. So we're feeling 2 and 4 as the rhythmic pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, So we would do that with the metronome. So I'm going to play the same Mary Had a Little Lamb, but feeling it on 2 and 4. That's something to try. Okay, great. What else? Well, again, when we're doing long tones, we can put it at 60 BPM. It's going to gauge how we're using our air, how much we're running out of air, how much we crescendo, decrescendo. We can make our overtone practice into a rhythmic game. There's so many things we can do. Okay, so you're getting more advanced. Now you're comfortable. You've developed already a decent sense of time, a consistent pulse. So how do we make it a little more difficult? Well, how about when you're playing a tune, you make the metronome click on the first beat of every bar, for example, okay? So I'm going to slow it down now to 40 BPM, but every time it clicks, that's going to be beat 1 of the bar. One, two, three, four, 2. Something else we can do, we can make it click on beat 2 of every bar, right? Just adding a little more difficulty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Something else I like to do when I'm practicing with a metronome is work on my subdivisions. So I like to keep the metronome really slow, 60 beats per minute or less, and then if I need to speed up, I do it through the subdivision. So instead of playing quarter notes, I'll play eighth notes, which is double time, triplets, 16th notes, groups of 5, groups of 6. So let's demonstrate this now. Groups of 3s now. Sixteenth notes. Groups of 5. of 6. Groups of 7. Right? Groups of 8. Right? So on and so forth. So on and so forth. So we can add a different dimension to our practice that way. One thing I really like to do, and I think if you talk to a lot of really great saxophonists, they tend to practice very slowly because it allows you to work everything out. If you practice it well enough slowly, it becomes over time very easy to speed things up. And it makes all the flaws in your playing, any flaws you might have in your playing, it makes them very instantly apparent. You know, are you supporting your air? Are you articulating well? Are you able to place it in time at a slow tempo? You know, do you actually know the notes of the melody? Right, so here's a great one. Say you're a very advanced saxophone player. I see this all the time. You're a sax superstar, and so you're playing Donnelly. You go like this. Okay, great. So that's cool, it's fast, it's nice, but how well do you really know the tune, right? So some of us learn it at a certain tempo, and we don't really learn it, we kind of gloss over fingerings. How well are we really placing it in time? I mean, a good way to find that out is put the metronome slow. I'm going to put it on 35 beats a minute, and it's going to be on 2 and 4. And let's see if I can play the same thing and make it sound nice and swinging and get all the notes correct at that tempo. Right? So that's a really difficult thing to do. I really like to practice that way, especially when I'm working on improvisation. I like to practice slowly, 35 beats per minute on 2 and 4, because it really allows me to think ahead when I'm improvising and really make sure I'm playing exactly what I'm hearing, right? It gives me time to think if I'm playing slowly and check out my fingering, my air support, all those things. So that's another great thing you can do with the metronome. Let's recap. So the metronome is a tool. It's a tool that if we use it consistently and correctly, it's going to help us in so many ways. I just demonstrated a few ways we can use the metronome. Remember, music is sound, but it's also time. We have to be comfortable and have a confident, strong pulse internally, and we have to be comfortable playing against it, playing ahead, playing behind, right? If we want to play with different musicians in different situations, we have to be comfortable manipulating the time and finding our way to fit in, and the metronome is going to help us with that. In my opinion, the difference between a good player and a great player, it's their time feel and how they command the time, right? All the greats, Sonny Rollins, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Cannonball Adderley, they're monstrous time players. Yes, they have great sound, great ideas, but they're monstrous. Everything they play is with conviction and intention. They sit it. It's so much part of their sound, how they place the time, how they articulate, things like that. So it's super important. And nowadays, we all have a smartphone. The metronome is there. There's no excuse why we're not using it. So I'm the saxophone oracle. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you liked it, if you've tried using any of these ideas, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment below. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments or send me an email. Anything about saxophone, anything about jazz improvisation, jazz music, I would love to address it in another video, so don't hesitate to get in contact. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. And happy practicing from the Saxophone Oracle. See you soon.